Hey there, folks. Welcome to part 10 of my refight of Brandywine. Using GMT's Great Battles of the American Revolution. We're currently at the bottom half of turn 6, and that is the Patriots. The British went first. They were the initiative player, and we covered all that in the previous episode, episode 9, or part 9. And we're going to get into the Patriots' response to those movements and see what happens. First up, you'll see the Patriots do get some reinforcements this turn, and they're going to be at location C. And this is Congress's own, a +2 morale, strength 4 unit. They're probably going to shuffle along the dungeon bottom, this little trail here. Can't use strategic movement here, so they won't double their movement rate, which is 4, that second value, this turn. But that will release these guys, which is the Delaware Blues. They've been locked in place the whole battle protecting this primary ford. So once these guys come within 2 hexes, or 2 hexes of that unit, this unit will be able to move. So there is that going on. Of course, up top we got Stirling. He's probably going to spend the turn fanning his troops out. He wants to get some troops on this hill. We got to take control of the high ground. It's always an advantageous thing to do. Get some troops as far forward as we can in anticipation of the enemy, Howe's force arriving. We want to greet them as far away from the Birmingham Meeting House as possible, hopefully slowing down their push in this direction. And I do definitely want to occupy this position, Birmingham Meeting House. It is an objective for the Americans to hold on to gain that decisive victory, along with Proctor's battery position. I'm going to look to putting in a high morale rated unit, as well as a full 6 strength points inside of there. That'll help out. There's special rules for fighting in here. Basically, whoever's in there, they're more robust. They're not likely to retreat from the position. It's a strong position, whoever controls it, so we're going to look to that. So that's what we're going to look forward to here. Bring up some of the cannons which are coming up the road there, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. And of course, over here in the Patriot left wing and center, we still have Washington and Lafayette at their headquarters up there. They haven't budged. I'm kind of waiting before I commit him to the action, because like I said before, this is probably going to end up being like 2 separate battles, really. Stirling against Howe up here, and then you got Sullivan and Greene and Wayne all down here holding the creek. And depending on the needs of the situation, I'll probably commit Washington at the right time. I don't want to wait too long to either this location or up here with Stirling, wherever I feel the battle is going to be decided. That's where I'll throw him. He is quite powerful once he gets involved in the action. But for the most part, I still want to keep this strong. If the British want to come across, they're going to pay a deep price, a heavy price for that. So I do want to keep this a strong position here. I want to mirror where the British are located and where they may come on in strength. So if I'm strong here, that's good. So we're going to look to shoring up these defenses as well. And as far as Greene is concerned, over on that side, really thinking about pulling Greene back. I think the counterattack is pretty much petered out, and I can't see what use continuing this assault is going to be. There's a big chunk of troops over there that could definitely be used in defending this primary ford, and more importantly, the heights. And there's a lot of troops over here. So I'm thinking about pulling some of those troops back, as long as we still have control of this Chad's Ferry, which is a primary ford. Right now, Grant is on the other ford. He actually has control of that. That's Chad's Ford proper, the most direct route to this objective for the British and the Americans. Proctor's battery position. Of course, Wayne is up there on the heights with Proctor's battery. He's in a strong position currently. And he has been taking some shots at Grant with his artillery, ineffective so far. Before we lose control of Chad's Ferry, I think we want to kind of pull our troops back across. I just don't see a value to Greene continuing pushing forward in that location. I was quite upset with myself when I first made that move. But That's the narrative of the battle, right? So we'll see. I'm going to think about that a little more, and I'll show you the results of that move and my decision and what I do. Hausen is looking quite strong here at the moment, and I think he's not going to have too much problem pushing in this direction or protecting this crossing. I don't know. We'll see, but I will think about that. So there is this going on. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to go into the movement and the rally phase, and we will see how we get along with the Patriots, and we'll pick up from there. Okay, hang in there, folks. All right, so we got that all completed. I still have to do the rallies, which is going to be this unit, and I believe that unit's adjacent to an enemy. So there's that one unit right there. But let me go through the movements, because these units, even if they're rallied, they can't move again. When they're disrupted, they can only move one hex, and that's about it. And the rally phase follows the movement phase. So let's take a look at the movement and see what I did. Not much to report down here. As expected, these guys moved from this position here, which I moved the British back in place here. Where's point C? He moved along to this position. He's now with the Delaware Blues, and I didn't move the Blues. They're only a strength 1. Can't do much with them anyway, but they're probably going to move up this way, and depending on what I'm feeling like, I'm either going to go up here to the east and support Stirling, or I'm going to come this way towards Sullivan and support him. We'll see. As far as Stirling's position, up to the east portion of the battlefield, I really didn't achieve a whole lot, not as much as I could. There's not a lot of movement distance I can cover here. But I did shift the cavalry. They're all over in this area here, near this marshy area, which is impassable. We'll see what opportunities present themselves to the cavalry, the dragoons. And I moved up this strength 5. I'm not sure that was a good idea, right alongside the rifles, and give the British something to think about. And on the opposite side, we got a strength 5 over here as well. So we'll see. I've moved this strength 6 up onto the hill itself. I'm trying to get my cannon in place. I couldn't use the road in that case there. One good thing is I did manage to get in Birmingham, the Meeting House. I have 6 strength points. I have a +1 and a 0 and a +2 morale rated unit in there. So there's 3 units in all. And Stirling himself is occupying the position as well. So it's a good start. We're setting up our defenses. We'll see how Howe comes onto the battlefield. We'll see also I did move some of the troops stationed with Washington up at his headquarters area up on this hill. Pulaski's Legion, where is he? Where is he? Oh, he's all the way down here. He jumped on the pike. He's heading up in this direction toward the town. We'll see what I do with him later. Also, the Dragoon unit. Who are they? Lady Washington's Horse. You probably remember them from earlier fighting. They're shifting back to the town, Dilworthton, and we'll see what they do when they arrive. So I did do that. I also shifted some of the cannon here up in Washington's position, anticipating forming a reserve. Down here, part of Greene's wing over here, the light blue striped guys are Greene's wing. Sullivan is the dark blue. I basically moved some of these infantry units up from the slopes. I don't know if that was a good idea either, but if the British are going to come across here, they're still going to have to fight. They're going to be right in the zone of those infantry. They can't be seen, so they can't be targeted by the artillery. They're on the top slope here, but they can't see past this wood. I don't think. I'll double check that. I don't think they can see them. Yeah, so there was that. I also moved this unit over. He's still on the high ground. He's right next to these dragoons. Probably be a combat. Well, the Americans do have to attack here. But he has the option of withdrawing. He's only strength 1, so it's 2-to-1 odds here in favor of the Patriots. So he'll probably use the withdraw and hustle back somewhere. And finally, yes, you can see I've started pulling back Greene's troops. And still got a rear guard going on here. We got some rifle-armed units. No big, strong areas. This stack right here, I think, is 4 points. Yeah, that's 4 strength points. That's probably the strongest position now. form in the rear guard. And Greene himself has pulled off across. He is engaged in combat, however, across this ford area. Actually, it's across the Brandywine. There's no ford crossing that hex side. Will be a combat here, including that disrupted unit. And, well, we'll see what happens. See if Greene can save some men's lives from Grant crossing that primary ford. And there's also might be a combat here. It depends. There's a lot of adjacent units here that extend zones of control. So we're going to get into that. Let's see if I can rally this unit, and then we'll get into the combats. Actually, why don't we roll that on camera right here? Use the blue dice. This is just a rally attempt, and it's this unit here. He's disrupted, and his morale is 0. And we're also going to apply the modifier for being a fatigued army morale, if you remember that. -1 to all printed morale ratings. So this unit is at 0, -1, he's going to be -1. So this die roll will be made, there'll be a -1. There's no other modifiers. Greene's proximity, being adjacent, does not help. I think only Washington has that capability. If he's adjacent, adjacent units can use his leadership rating. But that's not the case. So we're going to roll this. He needs a score above a 4, and he has a -1 for the Army's morale level. They are fatigued. So let's do this. And he gets a 5. -1 is 4. They failed. All right, so absolutely nothing happens. He remains disrupted. So that is our rally check. So we'll keep this on the unit. So the old 11th is still disrupted after having retreated across the primary ford there at Chad's Ferry. So that's the situation with the rallies. Now we're going to get into the defensive fire for the British artillery. And they do have quite a few guns. I don't believe they could see these units down here because of the woods. But they can't see these guns here. At least these 2 cannons can. So there'll be some fire there. I would like to put some fire on Proctor's battery, which I can also see. Yeah, so there is that. This guy's too far away. And I believe he can see this rifle-armed unit. It's just these units that can't be seen. I believe. I'll double-check that. And where else have we got some artillery? Yeah, not down here, unless there's one tucked away into one of these stacks. And proceeding a close combat, that would be useful. And up where Stirling is, of course, there's nothing up there as well. And the Amusets, by the way, which is part of Howe's initial force coming on the board, as you can see right there, they're located right here. They're attached to the chasseurs. They basically have a range of 2 hexes. They're like really small caliber guns, really. And they can only fire at enemy artillery. That's the restriction. And they can only fire during the, well, in this case, the British player's rifle phase. That's it. They can't fire during the Patriots' rifle phase. Even though all rifles are simultaneous when they're resolved, he can only fire when it's the British player's turn. So he can't fire anyway because there's no enemy artillery. So, yeah, that's the extent of that. So there you go. And we're going to get into the actual shooting at this point. And you'll also note that there's a Patriot disrupted unit here that's in close combat with Grant, or will be. And because he's adjacent, he can't actually attempt to rally. That's why I didn't make that rally attempt. So that's it. I'm going to go into the British artillery, defensive artillery fire phase, and we're going to resolve that. And if nothing happens, I'll go through the rifle fire as well, show you guys the results. All right, so that was fun. British had no rifles. I think the only one they have here outside of the German units is the Ferguson's rifles, out of range. But there was some success for the Patriots. They got a step loss against the 49th Foot. They were reduced, and that gave the Americans half a victory point, and also increased their army morale from 11 to 12, and dropped the British from 19 to 18 army morale. So that was beneficial. Actually, I think they got a net result of 9, which is basically a step loss. Plus, if there's a commander, a leader in that hex, they could die. So unfortunately, if I had shot over here against Grant, which I could have done, and I would have had a chance of taking Grant out, but I didn't do that. So that was kind of fun. So this unit here has been reduced. It's flipped. So that was the effect of shooting. Now we're going to get into close combats. And if we take a look here, we've got this combat here. The Patriots have a big advantage. They have the high ground, and they're going against Dragoons. They're probably going to make a withdrawal. So that combat probably won't be fully resolved because of the withdrawal option. However, here we've got Grant, Greene, this disrupted unit, as well as the Pennsylvania State Rifles and whoever else is with them. There is a big, strong force of Patriots here that Grant is going to have to contend with. I believe he has 2 units with him. And no artillery, of course. He's got a strength 4 and a strength 2. And this is going to be an interesting combat. Now, this unit is also adjacent. There's 2 units here, as you can see. Actually, let me zoom in for you guys. That's better. Just a little bit. Yeah, one of these units is going to have to engage this stack of British troops here. The rifles, of course, don't have to engage in close combat, if you remember, but they probably will in this case to at least boost the strength. However, they're not as good in close combat. They have a black background to their R symbol, their rifle symbol. Those guys typically are not as effective. There's a penalty for them. Same situation over here. We've got a stack of Patriots with rifles. Well, strength is this. This is a strength 3. Adjacent to this stack or this unit, they're going to have to fight. So there's going to be a couple combats here involving these units, but the main fighting is going to be right here with Greene and Grant. This disrupted unit and this stack here will possibly have to engage in this battle. We'll see how I distribute it all up. But there is going to be some heavy fighting here between Grant and Greene. Taking a quick look at the map here. I don't think there's any other combats to resolve. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into this, show you what I did, and give you the results of that combat up there. All right, before we go any further, I did fight this combat with Grant and Greene. Tactics cards, all that good stuff. But I did make a mistake that I just caught before the combat was resolved. This unit that was disrupted, he should have moved 1 hex away from you. You cannot start your turn basically adjacent with a enemy unit when you're disrupted. So he was never actually here. So that's what happened there. And so the combat was just this stack, and I chose only 1 unit to do that with, and this stack over here. They fought the combat. Patriots didn't do too well. This unit had a step reduction. It was the lead unit for the Patriots. Had a step reduction, and in addition, the unit that was with it failed its morale, had to retreat, could not do so because of adjacency to enemy units, and was captured instead. And that was a rifle-armed unit. So unfortunately, they had a unit captured and had a step reduction on this unit here. The British gained some victory points. They're at 10 currently for all that. And also, their army morale jumped up to 20. So it went up 2. And the Patriots' morale went down 2. They're currently at 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. And they are in the wavering zone. That's not good. So one of the things I like about this game is that it's very sensitive in combat regarding morale. I mean, word gets around rapidly when certain events occur in the battle. So not too good for the Patriots at this point. And of course, the defender was the British. There's no advance after combat. So that's the end of that. There's 1 more combat to fight, and that is right here. I'm going to fight this out. We get a strength 3 and a 1 rifle troops going against this stack of 4. Lead unit, preferably the one with the better morale, +2, is going to be this unit, the 10th Virginia. So they're going to be the lead unit in that combat, and it's going to be 1-to-1 odds. All right, and that was fully resolved, and this is the result. This rifle unit was actually involved. He probably shouldn't have. It's a penalty to do so because he's not so good with in the close combat department because of that black background on the rifle symbol. But anyway, they did fight the combat. It was 1-to-1 odds, and unfortunately the Patriots in their attack suffered a step loss. This unit was flipped, cost them a half of a victory point, so the British are now at 10.5 victory points, and plus the army morale for the Patriots dropped to 9, so it went down 1, and the British went up to 21. It went up 1. So that was brutal. And the light infantry in there, because they participated, they had to make a morale check because of the step loss of the other unit. They passed, so they're going to hold their ground. So both units are in that hex. So overall, it looks like the Patriots took a lot of losses here. 2 step reductions going on there. They had a unit captured because he couldn't retreat. Yeah, so that's the situation. Not good. Tactics really didn't play a big role once again. They're pretty much matching each other. I believe that last combat, it was a -1 from tactics. I believe it was a stand fast for the Patriots against an attack in echelon. Let me see. Stand fast as the attacker against attack in echelon, -1. So, yeah, not a good choice. But anyway, folks, that's how the combat went. And this, by the way, this little counter is a reminder. It's an information counter to remind me that in this stack is a mix of disrupted and non-disrupted units, or shattered. When there's a mix of parade order and either disrupted or shattered units in the same hex, you just put this on the top and remind you that there's units in there that need to be rallied. All right, folks, so I think I'm going to cut this off at this point. We'll take a look at the battlefield here in a second. See what everything looks like. As you can see, the current army morale levels. Momentum hasn't changed. It's still 2 for the British, none for the Patriots. The British are up to the max, which is 21, so they really jumped. And the Patriots are down to 9. This is not good. I'm pretty worried about this. If this hits 0, that's it for the Patriots. They're going to pull off from the battlefield. You notice this unit here, cavalry withdrawal. That was as anticipated earlier. This unit and the Dragoons fought a little battle. The Patriots come down off the hill and run off the Dragoons. And there they are currently withdrawing. Of course, these Patriots come off the hill. They were the attacker. And had to advance into the hex. And nothing going on up there with Stirling and the initial forces of Howe. And the only combats, of course, were over here with Greene's force. He's currently withdrawing across the ford. Basically fighting a fighting withdrawal. To get back across and reinforce Proctor's battery. And, yeah, as expected, although I didn't expect to take both of these units as step losses and get a unit captured. I didn't expect that. That was pretty bad. So, yeah, this is how we're going to go into turn 7 with the approach of Howe and his onslaught of British troops. And let's see who's going to be first. That's the end of turn 6. We're going to roll initiative for turn 7. All right, so with that, let's get ready to move on to turn 7 here. We're going to roll initiative. Before we do so, the British will use a momentum to gain a +2 to their roll. I think it's kind of important, especially where Gnifhausen's located, to get a bonus and get a jump on the Americans and take advantage of the situation to get across that that creek over there. So I'm gonna take the chance here and use one of my 2 momentum for the British to get a +2 on this. In addition, the Patriots have a -1. Oh, let me see here. Fatigued initiative 0. Oh, I see what it is. And the British will get a +1 on top of that bonus +2 for having high morale. I didn't have to do that. But you know what? I'll take that. So we'll get a +3 to the British die roll. And the Patriots get nothing on this roll. They have no momentum to spend. So let's roll this. +3 for the British, plus nothing for the Patriots. And, ooh, 3, 4, 5. The British scored a 5. The Patriots got an 8. And, yeah, So there it is. It looks like the Patriots are going to be going first again. So all right, that's it. Looks like the Patriots are going to have initiative going into turn 7. Now that'll be interesting. Now that means going first, Stirling is going to be able to get into a much better position here to meet Howe. That's good. But I think the biggest impact of this initiative roll is going to be down here with Greene. And as you can see, the British, they kind of got a jump on the Patriots in their positioning and where they're located, especially at this ford. I mean, they could do something here. Basically, the Americans are out of position. I think that's a better way to say it. And to capitalize on that, I thought it would be beneficial if the British had initiative and they could isolate these last units fighting withdrawal and finish them off. And that could be devastating to the morale of the Patriot army. But it doesn't look like I'll have that opportunity. He will be able to withdraw these units across that ford, I believe, if he has enough movement points to do so. So he could actually escape. Well, maybe not. This unit I don't think could, because it's zone of control of an enemy unit. But these two units could withdraw into this hex and cross the ford and escape. This unit could go 1 hex and have to stop because it's entering an enemy zone of control by doing so. Actually, no. Grant's zone of control does not extend into woods. So he could actually make an escape. So yeah, the Patriots are in a good position to get all their troops back across the Brandywine, and that'll be a good thing. And make it much more difficult for the British to make that crossing. And of course, tighten up their lines and so on and so forth. And that's really a good thing for the Patriots. Plus, they have a couple of units actually, to attempt to rally, and hopefully they'll be able to do that. And so, yeah, they're catching the British a little flat-footed at this point, celebrating with their victories down here, their local victories in this area. Patriots are making good their escape. So, folks, that's it for this episode, I think. I do want to keep these videos under 30 minutes. So tell me what you think, folks. Here's where we are on the all-important Army morale. 9. Got to do some rallying and pump this back up again for the Patriots. We'll see what's going to happen. Patriots have initiative going into turn 7. And then it'll be the British turn. And then they're going to have Howe arriving in force. So this is the Patriots' last chance to get themselves ready. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for part 11 to this series, my refight of Brandywine. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. And that's about it. So hang in there, folks. It's only going to get better. You guys take care. See you soon.